Alright, everybody, what's going on? Today has been a really exciting day for me, a lot of learning experiences for me. I'll go over it here in this video. Um, I'll touch on what happened all last week at the end, in case you're curious. But anyways, today I was looking at VCIG. This thing did have AI news. It was talking about incorporating it into some of their systems. So AI is like a buzzword right now. So here on the 5-minute chart on here on the left hand side, you can see how I started marking out some areas here just to kind of get an idea of a few areas of support here on the bottom side and some areas of resistance here on the top side. Now, I was pretty rusty. I didn't have the best week last week. I'll probably make a second video just separately for last week because I was on vacation. So all of this here in the morning. So we'll switch over to the 1-minute chart on this side. And I took a good trade here. I believe it was 400 shares. So yeah, I had 400 shares at 368, and at the break of VWAP, I started seeing the strength at VWAP. So I went ahead and added another 400 shares, and then it looks like right after that, I sold all 800 shares at 399. I guess $4 to me is half dollars, whole dollars are still like areas of resistance. So I went ahead and sold the all 800 shares right there in the sim. I guess I won't go over too much in the sim account, but you can see here, if you want to pause the video, possibly zoom in, I'll try to make it easier for you to do that. You can see this a little better here. So ended up buying on the high, sold for a loss. It dipped back down, and this was also all the simulators. So another dip trade here and here, and came down, started trading sideways, all in the simulator. Because I was trying to get my bearings together. The level 2 on this thing had just a lot of momentum. Like, man, I could see just the buyers just really coming in and pushing this thing. So that was definitely a good sign for me, considering. And my first real trade was right in here, and that was 400 shares. This was at 10:06. 400 shares at 419, and I went ahead and I did plan this trade because this was something where I started getting lower lows here, and it looked like it was kept creeping up towards this resistance at 430. So I just got in and I set a 10-cent stop at like 407, I think, and that's what it ended up getting me out at. So I took a loss my very first trade, but you know, I was like, of course. But with trading, I think I had the right idea, just wrong time. So just kept watching this thing, and right in here you'll see that purple line is the VWAP. It broke below VWAP, and I was just hesitant. I wasn't trying to like catch the move on the bottom like I've been doing. I was trying to be a little bit more patient and didn't know if this thing was going to go further. But it kind of established a low here, another low here that was a little higher, another low here, and what gave me the signal was the level 2. The tape really ripped right here and ripped right here. And I was like, okay, this is some momentum. This is looking strong. So my first order here was on this second candle on a pullback. This was at 10:31. I got in with 400 shares at 407. And we got that immediate push up, second push up, and this thing blew right through 430 and almost went to 450. So what I did was I sold half here at 442, thinking that this could be a big like area of resistance. And let's move back over to the 5-minute chart so I can show you why. So on the 5-minute chart here, you have two taps in pre-market, and pre-market high tends to be a significant area of resistance. So my idea was to just go ahead and sell half towards that 450 push, since it looked a little hesitant on the 1-minute chart. I just went ahead and took half off the table, and then my plan after that was to just start riding the 9 EMA. So we switch back over to the 1-minute chart here. That's where I got out half. Really squeezed through that 450. That was beautiful. This thing just ripped right through it. And right around that 490 to 5 area was another $0.50 whole dollar. I was very, aware of short sellers and things like that. And if 450 broke, their next target is probably going to be 5. And you can see where a lot of sellers came in here closer to 5. So what I did was I took another half off the table. So I took another 100 shares off the table here and was waiting for letting the VWAP ride. So as you could see, this thing had a lot of respect for the 9 EMA, came back up, and once I got the confirmation of the break of 5, you got that pullback and you got this big green candle. What I saw on the tape was the fact that it pushed over 5 and it held, which means I gave it a little bit of time for the break, did not see an immediate flush, and I started to see a lot of buyers coming in on the bid. So that's good. So what I did was I went ahead and added another 400 shares here at 1042. Yep, I added another 400 shares at 511, and it looks like the time 1043, which was here. I guess I got panicked, or something, because I guess I was scared it would come down. So I ended up selling half just because my average came way up. My average moved up to 490. When I bought at 511, my total average for those 500 shares was 491. So, not gonna lie, I'm maybe a little uncomfortable with holding 500 shares when it's like this, thinking it would just flush real quick. Luckily it didn't, but I left my 250 shares in because this was me selling half, and we got to push through 550, curled back down. My fiance walked down here, and not blaming her in any way, but on the 9 EMA, you know what? I saw it hit the 9 EMA, and I just went ahead and sold the rest here at 1047. Well, not the rest. So the remaining 250 shares at 511, and then just ended up getting out of my position. Now the interesting thing here was, with 500 shares, my average position was 491. And this is where I kind of had a learning experience, just because what it did was right here on the 1-minute chart, the 20 exponential moving average right here, this thing tapped it, and the low of this was 493. So to think, if I would have just left my 250 shares in there and just had a stop at break even, my stop would have been 491 right here, which means I would not have gotten stopped out. And of course, this thing just took off. We took off all the way up from that 491 area all the way up to a high of what appears to be 1132. This thing is still moving right now if you want to take a peek at it. So let me squeeze this thing down so we can see more. So this thing clearly respected the 9 EMA here. Then it respected the 20. And then the 9 EMA all the way up, still respected it, did not break up here until 10. So obviously it makes me think like what the possibility could have been if I would have maybe just set it at a, because I was already green, I already locked in profit. So setting my stop loss at break even potentially would have allowed a massive move on this thing. So here on the 5-minute chart you can see. Now, however, I'm not trying to make this video too long, but this is like real authentic learning experience, surviving the learning curve. I mean, this is a lot, and there's a lot of emotions involved. So ended up being up like 180, and I was trying to break that 200 mark, where I can be green after commissions over 200, and you know, it just didn't quite work out. I got over it and then immediately destroyed myself. So if you're still here watching, perfect, but at the end of the day, this is for my reference. This is reviewing my trades, and you know what, I'm happy about that. So here we got another trade, and this is where I kind of went wrong. I started seeing this thing moving parabolic, and it looks like at 10:55 I got in with another 400 shares at 461, sold it at 465, so that's this little move here. Here I think was a nice execution. It's just I don't think I had the right mindset. I think I was just getting in and getting out, and maybe I felt like it was too high at the time, and I totally changed my strategy, you know what I mean, in the middle of a trade, because I started trading momentum versus my VWAP or my 9 EMA strategy. So this price right here at 11 o'clock, I got in at 11 o'clock. Yeah, I got in at 580 with 400 shares and sold it literally seconds later at 495. So I made 15 cents. So that's about 60 bucks in a minute. And then if you notice, this is where I kind of went wrong. Instead of just buying and holding right here, which would have been, I guess, more of a rational thing to do, I took quick profit, literally jumped up a freaking dollar, close to it without me, and I ended up getting in here at the top at 638. I bought another 400 shares, took the loss here on the dip at 620, bought again at 667, which is that high right here, 667, and then flushed again, got me right back out at 652. So in those two trades, I lost a good bit of money with 400 shares. And then this, I believe, was my last trade here with real money. Oh no, it was probably right here. So let's see. At 11:06, I bought 400 shares at 667, lost and sold it all at 652 because I was afraid this thing was just gonna flush. But the problem here that I'm realizing is, for one, I was already up and I had a good amount of profit. I think two, this thing is moving. So this thing is moving, you know, let's just see in this one candle, the high 680, the low 625. So on one candle, it's moving close to 50, 60 cents. And I'm over here getting in with 400 shares, you know, and this thing moves quickly. It's just like that. I, 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 I feel the loss and I want to cut it. However, if I was a little bit more comfortable in this trade with, let's just say, 200 shares, maybe I wouldn't have been as emotionally attached to the money, and I would have been able to let this thing kind of move a little bit and move the way that it's naturally going to move. Because in the moment, I was not thinking about this 9 EMA at all. So that was hard for me. And after losing what looks like two bad trades back to back, and I lost most of what I made in the morning with those good trades here, I started to have FOMO. I started to revenge trade, and I wanted to get back above the profit loss, because after commissions I ended up being down $9, and I was like, no, dear God, no. So on this move here, ended up getting in at, this is 11:10 with 200 shares. So if you notice, I sized down a little bit because I started freaking out that 400 shares was just too much for me to handle. Ended up getting in at 8:30, and then I sold at 8:53 here. Just as you see, these are, I'm not hitting the top, I'm not hitting the bottom. This is how I know that I was emotionally just not there. I was too invested with the money. I was just staring at the level 2, and I saw green, I took it. Whereas if I was calm, cool, and collected, I would have been able to look at this from a little bit different of a perspective and notice that, you know, we're not near the 9 EMA. I could have seen resistance in here, and I could have just been a little bit more comfortable and recognized the actual candles and to see what they were gonna do. But I didn't. And this is why I say this was so exciting for me, because it was such a learning experience. We ended up almost getting a halt here. Actually, no, we did get a halt here. And it was a 10-minute halt. And within that halt, I called my tab, my training accountability buddy, and I'm like, dude, this is how I'm feeling. Like, I need a rational voice in my ear right now. And I haven't listened to him before. When I called him, I ended up being hard-headed, ended up going against me, losing money. So I say, you know what? This is what you're here for, bro. I need you. I'm going to listen to what you say. And thank God he did. Came out of a halt here. And this, I switched to my simulator account. And I can tell you right now, if I would have bought in here, this was 11:22. This was the first account with my sim trade. I got in with 100 shares at 9.50, and then I added another 100 shares here at 8.53, $8.53, and then that's when we started to see some good momentum again, getting down here at this price with an average price of, I think, 9.01. I think was my average price with 200 shares. And, you know, we got that push towards 11, almost 11.50. And, you know, I guess my mindset had switched back to the 9 EMA since it was in the sim. I felt like I was able to actually see the chart, breathe, make a good decision. Um, should I have taken profit up here? I mean, yeah, but if I look down here at the daily chart, you know, this thing has blown through 3 other areas of resistance, and the next area of resistance is 1724 and then potentially 24. So I felt like I wanted to give it some room to move. Um, Being in the sim, it was great practice for me, and for the most part, still respected the 20, and this is when it seemed to kind of crack. That's when I stopped trading, and I'm like, you know what? Let's just go ahead and make this recap. It's trading sideways. There's no point to just overstay my welcome. So some key takeaways today. For one, my executions were good in the morning. Once the stock started moving is when I got emotionally invested, which caused me not to think clearly. And that's when I kind of lost everything. I think because I was like being greedy, because that's what I think led to me trying to take advantage of the momentum, was greed. That it showed in the chart how bad it was. Versus if I would have just maybe timed my next few trades, I would have been a little bit better. I'm seeing in here, bought in. If I would have, say for example, I still got out where I got out here, and then I got in here as close as I could to the 9 EMA like I did right here at this price at 11 o'clock. I bought 400 shares at 580 and just fucking let this thing ride, the 9 EMA. At 580, this thing didn't even come down and touch it until 20 minutes later, 23 minutes later, and then still ended up taking off. And if I truly would have respected the 9 EMA, I would have broke and got out right here. Or potentially this one. Just this, benefit of the doubt. Let's just say 975, but I got in at 580. This would have been $4 on 400 shares. 4 times 4 is 16. That would have been a $1,600 day on top of what I made earlier. 400 times 4, $1,600. So yeah, it's been a hell of a learning experience. I'm really glad I switched and talked to my tab. We went over some stuff. I was able to switch my mindset and be like, you know what? I'm just trying to survive. I'm trying to survive the learning curve. I'm trying to learn on moves like this. This is amazing to me because a lot of my strategy coming into this is the 9 EMA. And this is picture perfect, my strategy. And now it's just time to tweak it and perfect it. Because I know this shit happens. And now I need to properly execute it. This is great money to be made for someone like me. And being able to pursue my dream would be amazing. So I gotta make it happen. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.